at the composition of the panel that you seem to have addressed your efforts at the women. But what are you doing to help them, to convince the men who are, after all, usually the instigator of population? So, you know, DKT is a condom manufacturer, but marketer, but the campaign should really be addressed to the men. You know, the visibility of having the finger sign and so on. Will it do a lot to convince the men that, you know, they should exert more efforts to help?
I can start, and other members of the panel can comment after. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the question because it's an excellent one. Men are, of course, a target of this campaign along with everyone else in the Philippines. I think the reason for focus on women and girls is because they are one of the most harshly affected people when family planning and reproductive health is denied or neglected. So one of the principal goals of the campaign, of course, is to empower women and girls to stand up for themselves and be able to seek the protection that they deserve and require. But of course, men are a target of the campaign as well. We absolutely stand for men to take their fair share of responsibility, including married men, including unmarried men, in the big picture here. And in fact, one of the activities that DKT Philippines will be involved in the latter half of this year, and that some members of the panel are already involved in planning, is World Vasectomy Day in November. And we want to use this festival, which we hope will become an annual one in the Philippines, to raise consciousness not just about vasectomy, which is a permanent sterilization method, but also just about to raise consciousness of men's responsibility for reproductive health as a whole.
I'd like to add that in government, our major effort in the Commission, working with the Department of Social Welfare and Development and local governments, is to involve men in our family development sessions with regard to family planning. In the past, when we would conduct sessions at the community level classes, only the women would come. But with the support of the SWD, we now require the couples to attend. And our commitment is to get hundreds of thousands of men to attend the classes, and thereby at least give them the information necessary to have a better relationship with their wives, to be more concerned about reproductive health matters, and probably later on down the line even participate in the family planning program. However, right now, the reality is less than 0.01% of the population have a vasectomy. About 2 to 3%, 1% uses a condom for family planning. And probably 2 to 3% are using natural family planning methods. Those are the methods where the men participate. So you will realize that probably 4% of the population who are men, 4% of the population of the program's benefactors are men, 96% are women. But we want to call for stronger male participation. We have efforts like Katropa, as we call it, kalalakihang tapat sa responsibilidad at obligasyon sa pamilya, where it's all men talking among themselves but in a facilitated way, so that they have a realization of their proper role as responsible husbands and potentially participating in the program. And we will we have also participated in the past on World Vasectomy Day, and we will be part of the World Vasectomy Day. We have a clinic in Mandaluyong. We have population offices in Davao and maybe in Cebu. We'll also be organizing our participation by having as many men as possible come and have a vasectomy. Once a week in our clinic in Popcom in Mandaluyong, we offer tubal ligation and vasectomy together. So we're open to all methods in that way. My call actually is that 10% of women say that they want to stop having children. That means the only method that 10% of the married women have is to have either a tubal ligation or they can hope that their husband will have a vasectomy. So the choice should not be just laid at the woman's feet. No? The choice to stop having children should also be a choice that men can make, not just the women. So that the 10% of women who want to stop having children, that translates to 2 million potential tubal ligations or vasectomies if their husbands opt for that. That is actually a big number. And that's something that we in government, and I hope the private sector also, will be willing to invest in. We need more doctors and facilities who can conduct tubal ligations and as well vasectomies. Under PhilHealth rules, you need an operating room for tubal ligation for women, but for a vasectomy it's much simpler. You can do it in the clinic. You don't need the hospital. So if you look at it, by all accounts, it's much simpler, it's much cheaper, it's really safer to have a vasectomy than for a woman to undergo a tubal ligation. So in the rational world, people should choose to have a vasectomy rather than asking their wives to have tubal ligations. So that will be part of our campaign. And we hope DKT and like-minded organizations can help us spread the word on this to the population. Thank you.
Hello.
I'd like to.
I'll just add an input to that. So, hello everyone, I'm Vin. I am from an organization called Love Yourself. So, we do testing and treatment for STIs and HIV. Now, ma'am's question is about involvement of men. Love Yourself primary core is providing tests and treatment of STIs and for STIs and HIV among men. So every year we test around 40,000 people for HIV and STI. That's 90% of them are men. And one of our programs also is called Love Yourself Caravan, wherein we go to companies and universities to provide HIV in the workplace policy, STIs, and sexual health awareness. We also have a program called Safe Spaces, wherein we partner with DKT, wherein we provide free condoms and lubricants to restrooms of certain companies, schools, and establishments where men can access commodities. So I think that's one of the things that we bring onto the table for the campaign. And also aside from that, we carry and provide digital campaigns together with our two ambassadors, the two Miss Universes for HIV awareness, SEI, utilization of condoms and lubricants. So I think, yeah, that's where we can come in.
Thank you. I just like, first, a note on what I've always heard when women are asked, why don't they work harder to convince their husbands or partners to participate in family planning? They say that they're not so sure about the husband's partner's willingness to take responsibility. And rather than risk another pregnancy, they would rather be the one to take on the responsibilities for themselves rather than leave it up to the whims or to chance that their men will finally see the light. What I'd like to ask the panel is, what are the specific programs and steps that you plan to take to get more men into the program? One thing I could see was to get as spokespersons men whom other men look up to, like athletes or even government officials, to finally speak out and openly and say, they support family planning, or much better, that they have had a vasectomy. I think there's nothing more powerful than a personal example from someone that other men look up to. I think enough women have spoken out and said, but I don't think enough men have testified to the need for family planning. Do you have such plans?
Madam, I think you should be up here on the stage with us. You're full of terrific ideas. Absolutely. I think for Do It Right, as I mentioned during my speech, one of the keys to our success and for this campaign to grow and impact the largest number of people is to have some really compelling personalities join us. Particularly, as you said, an athlete that is highly respected or other male figure could be very valuable. So I completely agree with that sentiment. But this campaign is an advocacy campaign. It's about getting this message out to as many people as possible. And as I said, we want that message to be relayed by people who receive it to carry the message forward to more people. Kind of like a baton being relayed between runners in a race. So I completely agree that this kind of participation by prominent figures of society would be a boon to Do It Right.
If I may add to the issue, indeed, historically speaking, the issue of men's involvement in family planning has been there since the 70s. Most often it's exclusively decided by women. But as you have heard, Yusik Perez, there have been programs coming from the government as well as the private sector and CSOs to ensure that men's involvement are important in planning one's family. But since we are also talking on the future, I would like to challenge the millennials, led by Jonah, because they are the hope of the fatherland, so to speak, in terms of making sure that informing and educating the men, when they get married or not, is important, rather than just the women deciding by themselves. I think it should be an equal partner. Diba itong sign na ito is a couple, no? Whether married or not, a couple with a contraceptive sign. But repeat, I really strongly recommend that this issue should be addressed by the millennials because they are the emerging generations of our time.
Thank you for that, Manong Ben. I'm Jonna from She Decides, so we're a global movement focusing on the fundamental rights of women and girls. And here in this panel, I would like to represent as what Manong Ben said, the youth, because I think one of the objectives of this campaign is to rally with the silent majority or the quiet majority. And I think at this point of time, the quiet majority is the young people. We don't have the agency, especially in the family, to talk about sex or sexual histories or sexual or even pleasure.